Okay, so I hope I am audible. Good afternoon, everyone. So I am the TA allotted to this course on environmental science, and we will be having these live sessions every Tuesday from 6 to 8 p.m. And basically, what we will be doing in these sessions is that you will have a set of around 15 questions which will be based on what was previously taught, or maybe some of the questions might be from the upcoming lectures, some basic ones. So we will be going through all those questions, discussing them. All of them are either multiple choice questions, or maybe some can be fill in the blanks type, and few around 5 questions will be multiple choice type. And an introduction of myself. So I am currently pursuing my PhD in IIT Kharagpur from the Department of Civil Engineering, and as a part of PMRA fellowship deliverables, uh, we are supposed to do the TA duties in various institutes, and I have chosen to do that through the means of NPTEL, various courses which are being offered. So this particular course is being offered by Professor Sudha Goyal, as you might also be knowing, and Professor Shamik Chaudhary from IIT Kharagpur. And I can see that around 14, 15 people have joined. We will wait for around 2, 3 minutes more, and then I will start with the questions one by one. And also, at any time, please feel free to interrupt me if you have something to share from your end, maybe your experiences or your any observations, or if you have any doubts. So we will wait for around 2, 3 minutes more and then start discussing the questions. Okay, so we will start the live session now. So coming to the first question, which of the following greenhouse gases has the highest global warming potential? So you can use the chat box to share your answer, or you can also unmute yourselves at any point. And for such,
Methane CH4.
okay, so you can see that among these, I will give you a hint that all of them, methane, carbon dioxide, N2O, SF6, all of these are greenhouse gases. So you have to choose among these four, which one is having the highest global warming potential that can cause the highest global warming.
Sure to.
Okay, so the thing is, in here I will share you the sequence like hierarchy. So basically, whenever we are trying to denote a carbon footprint, typically for any process, we denote it in terms of carbon dioxide equivalents. For example, let's say if you are some industry and the ministry or
Sulfur hexafluoride has the highest global warming potential.
true, true. So that is the correct answer, and you are always free to use
SF6.
true. SF6 is the correct answer, and you can use Google or whatever means you have to think about the question, get the answers, whatever suits you. So in addition to that, so SF6 here is having the highest global warming potential. And now how you're going to represent that global warming potential, the thing is, for example, if you are an industry or any body and someone comes to you and asks that what is the carbon footprint or global warming potential of your entire industrial activities that you are doing. Let's say if you are producing some fruit juice or some cold drink, what is the carbon footprint for producing that material or product? So you will, how will you denote that? Basically, it is denoted in the form of carbon dioxide equivalents. So, and what carbon dioxide equivalent is? For example, a basic one, I will just show it here. The unit will be CO2 equivalent. That means whatever be the carbon emissions that you are doing, that will be represented as equivalent to carbon dioxide. For example, methane. For if you have got a methane emission, let's say you are emitting 1 kg of methane. Fine. So the global warming that will be caused by 1 kg of methane, it is almost equal to or roundabout equal to the impact that will be caused by 25 kgs of CO2 emissions. Fine. In other words, 1 kg of methane in terms of global warming potential is 25 times more dangerous than CO2. In that way, if you look at nitrogen dioxide, it is around 270 or 298, something like that. So let's say I will take here 1 kg N2O. This will be equivalent to the emission that will be caused by, for now I'm taking 278 kgs, 278 kgs of carbon dioxide. So now you can understand how you have to represent the carbon footprint. Now a very simple example that you might also be facing in some of the upcoming classes. In your paper or in any scenario, let's say you are releasing from your industry 20 kgs of methane, 5 kgs of CO2, and let's say 1 kg of N2O. So these are the emissions that are coming from some process. Based on this, if you have been asked to calculate the carbon footprint or global warming potential, so what do you think? How will you calculate it? What you know, the information that has been shared with you is 1 kg of methane is equivalent to 25 kgs of carbon dioxide. Similarly, 1 kg of N2O, dinitrogen monoxide, it is equivalent to 278 kgs of CO2, as dangerous in terms of global warming potential. And the unit which will be used for expressing this carbon footprint, it will be in terms of carbon dioxide equivalent. So how do you think you will represent it? What will be the value of carbon footprint that will come out of this emissions? You can have about 2, 3, 4 minutes to calculate it. Very simple. Use plain and simple unitary method, then add all of those footprints.
483.
Okay, 483. So let me just quickly confirm it. Okay. So the correct answer will be, please let me know if you have also adopted some similar approach or something else. So the global warming potential will be, so you see, we have got 20 kgs of methane and everything you need to calculate in terms of carbon dioxide. So 1 kg of methane is equal to 25 kgs of carbon dioxide. That means 20 kgs of methane is equal to 20 into 25, this much kgs of carbon dioxide. In the same way, 5 kg of carbon dioxide, no need to convert it because anyways we need to represent everything in terms of CO2. So 5 kgs of CO2 will remain 5 kgs of CO2. While 1 kg of N2O, this will be somewhat 278 kgs of CO2 equivalent. So now add this up. So this should be, I think I am getting the answer 783 kgs of CO2 equivalent. You can write the equivalent as EQ or complete equivalent, whatever.
Sorry, 783.
Yes. Okay, so I can see that,
Wrongly said.
yeah, Rupesh, I think you are trying to say something.
So I wrongly say calculated this 20 into 25. That should be 500. It came 200 for me.
Okay,
So
but the
I said
approach was
483. It
similar,
should
right?
be.
You adopted a similar approach.
Yes, yes.
Then it is fine.
Yes,
The
sir. Yes, sir.
concept is clear. So that's the purpose. Great. So I can see that Chinnari Lekala has raised her hand. So do you want to add something, or if you have something to say, maybe just by mistake. Fine. So if you have anything to add or any doubts, please feel free to interrupt me at any time. So now we will move on to next slide where you can see in here. So as per the IPCC, International Panel on Climate Change report in 2001, so this is quite old, but the values are more or less, they tend to remain similar. You can see that CO2, basically in terms of 100 years of global warming potential, the value is 1. Methane, you see it is 23, N2 it is 296, while SF6 that you had in the question, it is 22,200 times as potent as CO2. So 1 kg of SF6 is equivalent to 22,200 kgs of carbon dioxide emissions. Resultingly, this was the answer for the question. Now going to the next one. So this is so the questions, all of which are going to be discussed today. So they are really important questions, and I will advise that you please uh, take a hold of that, and so that if at some time someone asks you these questions in any assignments or in some class tests or examinations, so you will be able to answer it because they are very simple and very basic. Now, in next question, it has been asked that in 2015, the United Nations developed some sustainable development goals. So they set few goals aiming towards better dignity, peace, prosperity. So basically, saving water, reducing poverty, addressing different areas of human as well as ecosystem development and well-being. So based on that, how many goals were set? Very easy. You can Google it quickly and go through them.
17
United,
goals.
right, 17 goals are there. So you can,
17, 17, sir.
great. So you can see that these are the 17 goals. I will also share
Yes, safety
a
goals.
website if I have opened it somewhere. Yeah, let, let it load. So the website that achha, I will share a website with you. Okay, I hope it is visible. So this is the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals website, and in here you can see that there is list of all the goals, where goal one is to reduce poverty. And if you place your cursor here, you will see some details, very brief details. And if you click on this more info, then it will direct you to another site that gives you a more detailed uh, explanation of what it tries to do. So goal one is on poverty, goal two is to reduce hunger, three on human health and well-being. So it spans from four is education quality, gender equality, and some of the ones which are particularly related to environmental pollution and science, they will be, you can see goal six, it is clean water and sanitation. So that is important from environmental perspective. Then again, goal seven, it comes affordable and clean energy. Then after that, you will have goal 11, which talks about sustainable cities and communities. In here, you will see in upcoming lectures. In sustainable cities means you have to design your community in such a way that the carbon footprint is reducing, you are causing less harm to the environment. Some of the very basic examples that you might come across is that you would have heard in most of the recent infrastructures, what people are trying to do is that during daytime, you have to build your house or your apartment in such a way so that you reduce the requirement for using artificial lights by using electricity to switch on your bulb, tube lights, and all. For that, what they try to do is that they try to increase the size of the windows. So the size of the windows increases, so more light can come in. So these are very minute changes that are being done to infrastructure so that you can reduce your energy consumption and add the corresponding benefits. Apart from that, you can see in this particular figure itself, the goal 70, you can see that there are two buildings with a lot of greenery there. So that also adds on to various benefits. For example, a significant amount of heating during summers, it is reduced. Then, since they are all greens, you can also add something towards reducing the carbon footprint because they consume carbon dioxide during the daytime for photosynthesis. So, like that, make changes in your ecosystem and communities so that you move towards sustainable living goals. Then, somewhat, you can see this this goal number 17. It also is related to environmental science. It talks about responsible consumption and production. So, what it tries to indicate is that responsible consumption and production. If you have, for example, you are mining lithium. These days, electric vehicles and various other electronic gadgets, they are using lithium ion batteries. So the thing is, I am talking about responsible consumption and production, it means that you can't just keep on mining lithium readily from whatever is available on Earth. The concept it tries to emphasize here is instead of keeping on mining and then dumping it somewhere and end of life, end of discussion, what you do is that you have mined something, you bring it to use, and once it has been exhausted, try to recycle the same lithium from the end of life or used batteries. In that way, what you are doing is that you don't have to keep on mining new materials. And in the same way, what you do is that while mining, there is a lot of environmental pollution, let it be air, water, soil, noise, all sorts of pollution. So if you avoid mining of virgin or new materials, you are also avoiding a lot of environmental burden that you would have caused. That is why the term is responsible consumption and production. And you can see that there is an infinity type of loop. And that loop is what signifies that try to make it a loop like consumption pattern. Use it, first mine it, use it, and then again recycle it. So that is the concept. Then comes sustainable goal number development goal number 13, which is quite evident and quite people are putting a lot of attention to it these days. It is on climate action, reduce the global warming footprint for different processes so that the sea level rise that we are seeing today, the global climate change increase in temperature that we are seeing today, that can be tackled. Then again, goal number 14, 15, they are also related to life below water and then life on land. So these are also somewhat closely related to environmental science. So first thing you need to remember that there are total 17 goals that were set by United Nations in 2015. And out of these goals, try to remember like which goals are assigned for environmental related issues. So that can be helpful. So this is done. Now we will get back to our question. Okay. Now this is a very easy one. Which of the following renewable sources of energy is currently cost competitive with fossil fuels for generating electricity? So solar, wind, hydro, and bioenergy. Among these, like, it will be a bit difficult if you try to Google it because some will say solar, some wind, some other things. But mostly, if you blindly take a look around yourself and see in India, which kind of renewable energy has we have been using for quite a long time. So apart from coal, like coal, we know it is a fossil form of energy that India derives around 50% of its energy by firing coal and then converting that coal into electricity. Rest, if I'm talking about the renewable sector, in there a huge amount of part is coming from hydropower. That is why we often see dams nearby. So that is all related to hydropower. And in here, hydropower has become such a famous or go-to renewable source for a very long time because it was kind of more cost competitive with the fossil fuels. So the correct answer for this question is hydropower. Then in the next question, you have been asked to select a maximum permissible noise level at the night time in residential areas as per Indian standards. So what do you think is the
45.
45? Great. So 45 is the correct answer. Let me see if I have any other information to add to that. I will share that with you. No, I think that will be it. So we will rather jump to the next question. Yeah. So now this is related to air quality index. And if it is over 500, what do you think will be the quality of air considered as moderate, unhealthy, very unhealthy, or hazardous?
Very unlikely.
Hazardous.
Hazardous is the correct answer here. And why, I will again show you another website through which you can understand, and maybe you will be taught in the upcoming classes as well. Yes. So you can see in the next slide, these are some of the categorizations of the air quality based on the AQI values. So if it is between, this is the second column is regarding AQI, and you see that 400 to 500, it is severe, and if it crosses 500, then it is typically termed as hazardous. Now, apart from that, there are a few other criteria air pollutants like particulate matter, nitrogen dioxide, ozone, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, ammonia, and lead. Based on them also, you can judge what is the air quality index. So these values, these has been basically taken from Central Pollution Control Board of India. Now, in the next question, if you see an excessive growth of algae in a water body, what can you deduce from it? Like, what is wrong with the water body? Is it due to nutrient loading, overloading, or heavy metal pollution, thermal pollution, or antibiotic pollution? If you
Nutrient overloading.
Yes, overloading.
Great. So nutrient overloading is the correct answer because in here you can see that, uh, like, if I have to ask you what can be the possible reasons for nutrient overloading, so what can you think of that? What might be the reason behind it? What are the causes?
The fertilizers from agricultural land,
True, great. So fertilizers from agricultural land, that can be one source.
overflow.
Sewage disposal.
A great sewage disposal can be another source.
And if you have industries like fertilizer industries, that also that tail effluent also will be.
Great. So you already know all the reasons that
Agricultural field.
agricultural fields, right? So all of these are the basically the reasons or factors that can increase the nutrient level in your water bodies and causing increased microalgal growth. Now, let's say if the microalgal growth has increased, you can see that. So, based on that eutrophication, this process is basically called eutrophication. So, what other problems do you think that might be related to it? You can see a water body which is full of algal bloom, and you can clearly see that yes, this is a severe case of eutrophication. So, what other effects do you think it or like harm that particular water body can be facing? Any
So
It
ideas?
is
oxygen demand will be reduced, oxygen level in water body will be reduced.
Okay, so
It's
oxygen
harmful to the
level.
marine life basically.
So, right. So, I will first check the oxygen level in the water body will be reduced. So, oxygen level in the water body, someone can cross question you, like this is a very great point. So, oxygen level in the water body can reduce. But I can counter you by saying, so algae is basically it grows through photosynthesis, and we have been taught that during photosynthesis, carbon dioxide is taken up by the algae and oxygen is being released. So, how can you counter this question? Yes,
the
the
decay of this algae. When the algae decays, because when you have algae grown too much, it will
hmm,
decay, and during its decay process, it will be consuming oxygen.
yeah, so that is one answer. And apart from that, anything else that you can think of? So the thing is, photosynthesis is happening only during the daytime. During night, there is no sunlight, so no photosynthesis. So what it will do is that the situation worsens at night because at night there is no release of oxygen. So apart from the decay after the algal death, so that is one reason. But at night the situation even becomes more severe because at that time no oxygen is being released and there is a net huge uptake of oxygen from the body. So the DO levels decrease, all the aquatic lives they get very badly impacted. Apart from that, you might see like there are few other reasons, like if there is algae there floating in the water or also suspended, so they can cause some problems with the fishes also, they can't breathe properly. And apart from that, if there is a algal layer on the pond, so what happens below the pond or any river body, so there is some, you can see in this particular figure, there are some aquatic plants also at the bed. So if there is a layer of algae on top, so the amount of sunlight that could have penetrated and reached these aquatic plants, that also reduces significantly and they also starts to die off. So these are some of the interrelated issues that people face with eutrophication. And if you keep on thinking about it, you can, in fact, list numerous other problems as well related to eutrophication. So great attempt with that. Now we will move on to the next question, which says like, what is the topmost priority of an integrated waste management system? Is it energy recovery, source reduction, reuse and recycling, or landfilling?
Reuse and recycle.
Okay, anything else? Any other options?
Post reduction or
Energy recovery,
Energy recovery. Okay. Anything else?
source reduction, source reduction.
Source reduction. Okay. So how many do you think it is source reduction? Like, okay, so it will be difficult. So you can use that hands up kind of option that we have. Okay, so 4, 5. Okay, fine. So I can see that around 5 people think that it is 5, 6 people are voting for source reduction. Now, another interesting option that I can see here is energy recovery. So those who have raised their hands for source reduction, they can draw it back. And anyone up for energy recovery? Okay, so again, so I can see more votes going for energy recovery. Fine. So now if you have to look at this particular question, you have to manage waste in an integrated waste management system. And the word integrated means like there are different components in the management system. One will collect the waste, one will treat some waste, and then another part will also generate energy and try to recover it. But if you take a look at the root problem that we are facing is there is a lot of waste to manage. And moreover, in terms of these developing countries like India, what we see is that whenever we are giving our waste to the waste collectors, that waste is more often it is not segregated. All of the wastes are mixed. So we are putting plastic, paper, your vegetable peels, and all of that. Everything is mixed together, and then we are giving it to them. So later on, a lot of money first is used around 70-80% of the cost. It goes simply to collect the waste from your houses or factories or any other commercial units and take it to some certain place for managing them. So 70-80% cost only goes there. So collection is a huge issue. After that, what you have to do is that if you get the waste, then if you have to manage it properly, recover a lot of energy from it, first you have to separate the easily biodegradable matter like vegetable waste, maybe food waste, things like that, biodegradable material, and set aside the non-biodegradable ones like plastic. Paper can also be set aside by, although paper is an organic material, but it is comparatively much difficult to degrade by the microorganisms as compared to your food waste and vegetable waste. So maybe some people also separate out paper, plastic, cardboard. Maybe there you will also find metals there, dust, rust, everything else is there. So all of these require a lot of efforts. So that is why I will show you in the next slide. There is a hierarchy. There you will see that the topmost priority you can see here. The most favored one is reduction. You have to reduce the waste generation. If you reduce that, all the rest of the burdens that you will be faced by different units for segregating the waste, for then treating the waste, they will be automatically they will face less burden. So the best way, the most preferred way to tackle with the waste management issue is to reduce the amount of waste that is generated. That is why people also lay emphasis on that 3 R's or 4 R's: reuse, recycle, reduce, things like that. So this part, I think it is clear. Now, in next question, you will see which of the following is not responsible for causing soil pollution. So what do you think? Like this question can be very interesting. Most of you will try to.
Hydropower generation.
Okay,
Hydropower generation, sir.
so hydropower generation won't cause soil pollution. Other options: agricultural practices, industrial wastes, and hospital waste. So yeah, the correct answer is hydropower generation as compared to the other three. It is least likely to cause any kind of soil pollution. Then this is more of a memorizing kind of question. So I will straight away give you the answer. The thing is, the National Green Tribunal is a body, statutory body, which is responsible for fostering the adjudicating of different disputes relevant to environmental protection and conservation of natural resources in India. So this was established in the year 2010, 2010. So this is the correct answer. Then now this is again a very, very important question, which you will face in most of the other examinations or maybe in interviews as well. Among the different R strategies, the topmost priority is given to minimize material consumption along production and supply chain. But which of these R corresponds to that? Is it rethink, repair, repurpose, or recycle?
Recycle.
Okay,
Recycle.
recycle. So you can, the keyword here that I would like to lay emphasis
Think.
is minimize the material consumption. So recycle can be one thing. If you keep on recycling a material, you will reduce the consumption of more materials. So okay. Anything else?
Rethink.
Yeah, rethink sounds to be a much better one. Why rethink? Can you add some of your thoughts on that? Why do you think rethink?
Yeah, basically, we need to reduce the consumerism and we really need to think whether we need this thing, whether we need to buy or we can, reuse the things we already have or by other means and reduce the consumerism basically.
True, true. So that is why
So the
if you
need is to be rethought about of
definitely.
buying a thing.
Great. So that is why rethink in this particular question is the most important one. Even if you look at the question, you will say that, okay, repair, repurpose, recycle, they can also help you in minimizing the consumption. But the primary factor that plays the most important role, that is rethinking it so that you can rethink and address the problem right at the root. So this is one what is it? Circularize noc24-hs160.com I found. So they have given you quite a lot of explanation for in a very layman term on various R strategies. And you can see in here this particular chart that the most preferred one above rethink it is refuse. So it is basically you don't want to use something. So apart from that, like if I say that if you need something, then right from the designing phase, you have to rethink. And one of the great examples of rethinking is that, for example, let's say you have a mobile. So someone, there are two parties. One party is they are preparing or manufacturing the mobile in such a way that after the mobile has become obsolete and you throw it away, it is very, very difficult to again recollect some important valuable parts from it. For example, the motherboard has gold and various other useful metals. So it is very difficult to recover that. On the other hand, the second party, what it does is that right at the development phase, supply chain phase, it rethinks and prepares strategies in such a way. First, what they do is that they make it easy to collect the phones after they have become obsolete, like what we see Flipkart, Amazon, and people like them are doing today. So now what happens is that at the end of life, it is easy to get the phones back to some certain units from where the next phase is they have designed the phone in such a way that you can easily, comparatively, it is much easier to take out the parts which are of most value, treat them, and recover those materials. So these kind of all processes, they go into rethinking of material design, how to handle the supply chain, how to find a market who will take those recovered materials and again put it into different uses. So all of these they go into rethink, and that is why it becomes the most important parameter among all the options that has been shared with you in the question. Okay, now I will go back to the slide again. Fine, great. So now going to the next question. Now this is about criteria air pollutants. So among these four, which one do you think is the criteria air pollutant, which is basically one of the major pollutants, air pollutants, which are looked at when you have to judge the air quality of certain area. So among these, which of the one do you think counts as criteria air pollutant? And just let me see if it is a multiple choice or not. Yeah, and also another note that in this particular question, you will have more than one correct answer. You can
Carbon
go,
monoxide.
yeah, great carbon monoxide is one of them.
Ground level ozone.
True. So ground level ozone is another one. Carbon monoxide, we have heard about it from a long time, and ground level ozone might be a bit uncommon for some because ground level ozone is a very unstable compound, a molecule, and what it does is that it has got very high oxidizing potential. It can oxidize material very rapidly. So that is why if you see that the ground level ozone concentration is increasing, so you will see that there will be the plant life around that certain area. It will get drastically affected because the leaves will start getting oxidized, and similarly, the humans can also face various health issues. So in this particular question, carbon monoxide and ground level ozone are the correct answer. So I also have a website open with me which gives you a bit more details around about these criteria air pollutants.
So what is the difference between air pollutants and criteria air pollutants?
So basically, all the criteria air pollutants are air pollutants, but not all the air pollutants. Criteria is basically this is a club of six pollutants, and they have been chosen in such a way which is kind of the most impactful one, or on which more emphasis should be laid because they have the most impact on the air quality. So that is why among the lot of air pollutants which are present out there, among them six have been chosen by this Environmental Protection Agency of US to be clubbed into a term known as criteria air pollutants. Basically, signifying that these are really crucial ones and one should be careful, particularly about these six. Others one should also look at, but these six are the major ones. So you can see in this particular slide, let me open it as well, criteria air pollutants. Where is it? Mhm. So the definition is here. The Clean Air Act is one of the acts in US. So that was established, and it set aside six commonly found air pollutants known as this. These six: ozone. This ozone is basically the ground level ozone, particulate matter, carbon monoxide, lead, sulfur dioxide, and nitrogen dioxide. That is why I will also show you, we also already discussed a question na, where you have been told that if the air quality index is more than 500, what category will it fall in? So most of you answered hazardous. So I showed you a table there where all of these air pollutants were also included. And that is the reason while defining the air quality index, it is important to consider all the criteria pollutants. That is why I will again show you that. And in this particular website, this is a regular standard website of Environmental Protection Agency, EPA.gov. And if you Google it and go through these, you will have a much better idea about each individual air pollutants, why they are taking it, what are the various observations in the past few decades, like that. So you can refer to this particular site. I will also copy it and share the link in the chat box of our Google Meet. Yeah. So this is the link. You can take a look at that. And now in our presentation, I will quickly show you the slide. You see, all of these are among the criteria air pollutants. Particulate matter, both 2.5 and 10, nitrogen dioxide, ozone, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, ammonia, and lead. That is the reason they are considered while calculating the air quality index. Now, if I have to ask you a very important question, now I will give you two terms. One is air pollutant, and another is not only air. For any metrics, one is a pollutant and another is a contaminant. So if you have to distinguish between what is a pollutant and what is a contaminant, how can you distinguish it? You can use Google and just share your opinion. And also a few examples if you can. Let it be water, related to water, or air, or whatever.
Pollutant is something which affects the environment and human beings, organisms, and any type of living being. Contaminant is something which is going to contaminate, or the purity of something is being affected by an impurity.
Okay. So any other thoughts? Like one is this. One is basically one is you have suggested one that affects purity and one that pollutes the environment, two categories. Any other thoughts? How you can distinguish between pollutant and contaminant? You can use Google if you want. Like I will give you four options regarding water related issues. One, let's say you have got, or let's say air pollution itself. So one is carbon monoxide, one option, one is carbon dioxide, and one, let's say we discussed one global warming gas, na, SF6. So one is that SF6. So among these three, which one do you think is a pollutant and which one is a contaminant? SF6 is a refrigerant.
SF6 is the pollutant.
Okay.
What were the other three? Other two?
Other two, you can assume carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide, or even particulate matter. So let me also Google if I can see, like you must also be trying to find some answers Googling.
That's also air pollutant.
Yeah, they are air pollutant. So that is correct. Then what about
Think
your
B is the right
SF6?
answer. Yeah, carbon monoxide is the right answer.
Carbon monoxide is a contaminant, no?
No,
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 it's
no.
a pollutant.
No,
So
that
the
is
thing
also
is,
an air pollutant only.
carbon dioxide is an air pollutant. So it is a pollutant.
Car monoxide.
Yeah.
Monoxide is also an air pollutant only, na? How
Hmm.
it is a
Also
contaminant?
air pollutant.
Because if it is an incomplete combustion in a heavy traffic, we get the release of carbon monoxide.
Yeah.
Then that is also considered as a pollutant only.
True, true.
Yes, true, because we are talking about air pollutants. So that is the right answer. You're right, ma'am.
So one thing can be, you can think that like carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide. First talk about carbon dioxide or any other, this ammonia and all. So these things can be present in environment due to emissions from natural sources. So these are naturally present in environment. They are not artificially synthesized. But if you think about certain other chemicals which are man-made and they are being added into the environment, because someone I heard they use the term purities. So that was kind of somewhere striking closer to it. So often what contaminant people relate to it is that if you are creating something new in the environment, in your surrounding, and then putting it into the environment, so then it will be termed as a contaminant. For example, refrigerants, these are not commonly found in environment, or if at all they are present, their levels will be drastically lower. So if you create a contaminant which is not common for any local place or any particular area, and you are putting it into the environment, so that new thing, new issue that you are putting there, it is termed as contaminant, and the thing that is already present there, let's say particulate matter, so that can be a pollutant. So I just Googled it and I saw the first thing that is written here is a contaminant is a substance that is introduced into an environment by human activity. So the first thing that I got, or it is not present naturally. So that is why these refrigerants, these are not naturally present in the environment. We have created it for different purposes, and due to various reasons, they get out to the environment and they act as a contaminant. On the other hand, if you are, let's say, you are burning a lot of coal, you are burning a lot of paper, or in what we see in Delhi, near Delhi, Haryana, in those regions during winters, is we hear an issue of stubble burning. So they burn the stubble, a lot of gases, carbon dioxide is generated, smoke, particulate matter, carbon monoxide, all of these are generated. So these can be clubbed as air pollutants because we are already facing these problems, monoxide, dioxide, and particulate matter. These are there and they are getting released again back into the environment at quite high levels. So that is what, and that is can be called as a pollutant. But on the other hand, if you are adding, let's say, these refrigerants into the environment, that can act as a contaminant. Now, similarly, if you want to think from the perspective of water pollution, then what you can see is that if you are adding some normal contaminants in the water, for example, sewage, basically sewage in particular sense, I am talking about, let's say, urine or fecal matter. If these are going into the water bodies, these are sources of pollution. Now, what happens is that you must heard about different other emerging contaminants, which can be antibiotics. Now, what happens is that we consume a lot of antibiotics. So these antibiotics are basically human made, and through our body, it flushes out and reaches the sewage, finally goes to water bodies. And these antibodies, sorry, not antibodies, these antibiotics, these are not natural to those water bodies. So they are present there or their concentration is increasing due to man-made activities. And these antibodies, sorry, antibiotics, they have been again found to be cause for various other hormonal problems in both animals and humans and various other issues. So now I will call these antibiotics as contaminants, not as pollutants. So that is a basic difference between a contaminant and a pollutant. Fine, I think
Yeah,
that was
actually,
helpful.
here there's a definition saying that contamination is the presence of a substance where it should not be or at concentration above the background.
True.
Pollution is the contamination that results in or can result in adverse biological effects to resident communities.
Hmm.
All pollutants are contaminants, but not all contaminants are pollutants.
Yeah. Because if something, let's say today, microplastics, for example, plastic is something that is being used for a lot of very long time. But assume like let's say we have started using plastics from today and in a very small area. So from that plastics, very small during due to the degradation of several reasons, small microplastics are their microstructures are generated. So if you look at just for a very brief time scale, might be they won't have that bad or adverse impact on the environment. But if you look at a very long scale or very long time scale, then you will see that microplastic is causing a huge number of issues in the environment. So from that perspective also, this can set true that why a pollutant like all the contaminants, what did you say? Someone used a very great sentence. Like all the pollutants
All
are
pollutants are contaminants, but not all contaminants are pollutants.
great. So in here, plastic is we are introducing plastic into the environment, so it is a contaminant. But if you look at it at a very brief scale, it will not act as a pollutant. It will not harm it. But since microplastics have been gathering in our environment for a very long time, and there has been various reported studies that microplastics are severely causing damage in different environmental matrices. So now, as of the current scenario, this contaminant has come into the category of pollutant. So that was a very great sentence that has been used. Thank you. So I hope this was useful. Can we move on to the next slide? And please interrupt me if you have anything else to add. Great. So now again a very basic question. Geothermal energy can be used for which of these following activities? Geothermal energy. Again, this will have multiple correct answers. So basically from geothermal energy, you can get heat and directly you can use that heat where? And I saw that in Iceland, I think there is a lot of availability of geothermal energy. So basically, if I am getting free heat from geothermal, what I can do,
Generally, we are using for
Pasteurizing
what
milk.
such experiments?
definitely pasteurizing milk is a great option. I can pasteurize milk or heat anything else that I need.
For drying crops
Great. So drying crops is again another, I can use that heat to dry the crops.
and also raising plants in greenhouse.
Definitely. So raising plants in greenhouse, all these three are the direct uses of geothermal energy or anything else that is similar on similar lines. But not this running trucks and buses. So except these, the other three are the correct option. That is option A, raising plants in greenhouses. Option B is pasteurizing milk, and option D, that is drying crops. Okay. Now in the next question, a warmer average global temperature will likely to cause which of the following issues? Again, a very simple one.
Increase in avalanche hazard.
True. Increase in avalanche hazard, that will be there.
The
What
slide
else?
is not visible, sir.
Sorry?
That
Slide
is
is
not
not
visible.
visible.
Okay, okay. Let me see. So I need to wait. I will stop sharing and then reshare it again. Is it visible now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So one is an increased risk of avalanches.
I think other than fall in sea level, it can cause the rest
All
of the
can
three.
go actually. Yeah.
It is B, C, and D option.
B, C, and D. Yeah. So for
A cannot be, no.
A cannot be. So A is an obvious one that you can neglect because global warming will increase sea levels. So except A, which will be an absurd option, all the three remaining three, they are more likely to be caused by average increase in global temperature, or average global temperature will increase. So B, C, and D are the correct options. Now I think the next slide is also visible. So in this slide, these are some of the water quality parameters, physical characteristics of water quality, which are to be monitored. So out of these, which one are the more frequently looked into water quality parameters?
Dissolved oxygen, TDS, and sometimes turbidity, but
Yeah, in
conductivity
that
I think
sense,
will
you
not.
will see that all of these are usually looked into by while measuring the water quality.
Conductivity there.
Yeah, conductivity is one of the correct answers.
And turbidity.
Yeah, turbidity and conductivity. So these two are the answers basically that the faculties are looking at. Apart from that, someone said that yes, we also look at TDS, that is true. We also look at dissolved oxygen, that is also true. But turbidity and conductivity, these are the more frequently monitored ones. Great.
How conductivity?
Conductivity basically tells you about the presence of ions. For example, you see if someone is thinking that there is an increased risk of eutrophication in some, like let's say I am an industry, I am doing something and I am discharging some effluent into some water body. Now, what I will do is that in my effluent, there can be presence of nutrients which can later on cause eutrophication. And what will be those nutrients? Those nutrients can be present in the form of nitrates. So nitrates are the various very important nitrogenous source of nutrient for these microalgae. So if they are present in the form of nitrates, nitrate is NO3 negative. So that is basically an anion, and it will increase the conductivity of my water sample. So that is how increase in conductivity, it will help me know about the presence of different ions in the water. Then further we will investigate it whether those ions will be the responsible for your eutrophication or whether they will be responsible for your hardness. So then further investigation is required on that. Basically, conductivity tells you about the ionic concentration that is present in the water, because that's what helps in increasing the conductivity. Okay, so now coming to the next question, again a simple one. What are the point sources of pollution? So from this perspective, point source, area source, this is basically if some pollution is taking place from certain source, whether that source is more like a point, a single point, or it is taking place from more like a huge area, the pollution is caused by. So among these, which ones do you think is kind of a point source of pollution, a single point like that?
A, A and D.
A and D. Okay. Any other options? A is definitely a correct answer because smokestack is a single stack. From there, the pollution is taking place.
Automobile exhaust also
Right.
a
Automobile exhaust can also be a point
agricultural
source.
runoff.
Not agricultural runoff, because you see, in agriculture is an area and that runoff is coming from an entire area. So it is more like an area source of pollution.
Even automobile exhaust is a line source of pollution,
Yeah, it
not
can
a
also be
point
termed
source.
as a line source, but it depends on the perspective. From what I can see is that from the slides of the professors who will be teaching you. So they are looking at automobile exhaust as a single exhaust, a single automobile source. So that is why they are individually looking at it. So they are treating it like a point source of pollution. But you are true, like if there is a huge traffic, so that can, and that too moving in a single line, that can also act as a line source of pollution. It is true. So based on this particular question, the most definitively point source one is factory smokestack. Other than that, a better one, a more likely one can be an automobile exhaust. So I think these are the 15 questions that we had today. If you have anything to add from your side, any suggestions, comments, or something, you're always welcome. Basically, these live sessions will take place every Tuesday. As per Indian Standard Time, it will be from 6 to 8 p.m. in the afternoon and on near evening. So every Tuesday, if in case some rescheduling needs to be done, it will be communicated to you through emails from NPTEL. And we will be regularly discussing around 15 questions, also some topics which may be related or something that you guys might be adding from your experience or whatever you have seen. So those things is what we will be doing for next 12 weeks. And I can see that there have many participants here. You are always welcome to share your opinions,
Sir,
suggestions.
your assignment, sixth question of your assignment week one,
The one that I have just shown, na, that one, right?
not just shown. Your week one assignment
So the week one that I am right now discussing or something else that has been already circulated.
already circulated, sir.
Okay, so I actually
Not
don't
the
have
one
that.
you all have discussed actually.
Hello.
Okay, let me show you the, you can see my screen, right? So question number 6 is what you are saying. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the sixth question. Are you
No,
talking about this?
not this actually. I am talking about the online assignment.
Okay, okay. So I actually don't have that. Do you have the question with you?
I'll tell you one second. One second. Consider the population is modeled by exponential growth equation. If the initial population P0 is 100 and growth rate R is 0.05, which will be the population size after 10 years is given.
Okay.
Actually, the answer we are getting is 164 point something 8 or something. Here, that option itself isn't there. The closest one is 162.87.
And is that the correct answer? 162.1?
That I don't know. I haven't entered
Okay.
yet.
Okay. Okay. So let me just see if I have similar questions with me next week. So I will just discuss it at that time only. Just give me a moment. I will verify.
Is there any particular syllabus for this?
Syllabus, I think it is already available on that NPTEL website through which we can register for this course. The syllabus is available there. Or
So
more like,
from today's slide,
yeah.
so from today's slideshow, please show that slide based on air quality index value once again.
Okay. This one, right?
Yes, sir.
And like regarding that particular exponential growth population estimation curve, I will just note down the question and discuss in the next class. I will solve it by myself and then. Okay, can you give me the key points about the question that you were saying?
T0 is 100.
Wait. P0 is 100. Okay.
Growth rate R is 0.05.
R is 0.05.
What's the population after 10 years?
Population
N is
after
10.
10 years. Okay. So anything else given in the question? P0,
That's all.
R, and R
They're asking for the predicted population after 10 years.
based on exponential growth.
Yeah.
And what are the options?
189.54,
189.54,
160.41,
160.41,
150.25,
150.25,
162.87.
162.87. Let me see. किसको? वो लक्ष्मी प्रिया वाला को दे देना, वो जमा कर। अच्छा, उसको दे दूंगा, वो जमा कर देना। कल जाऊंगा कि नहीं? हो गया। उसको बस बोल दूंगा कि जमा कर दे। Yeah. Can you come again? I was not able to hear.
No?
In case of any issue, you can always use the chat box also.
No, did you ask something?
Yeah, like if someone is saying something, they can put it in the chat box. I heard that you got the answer as 162 point something.
164.87 I got. And the
164.8.
answer given is option given is 162.87.
Okay, the closest option was that. What was the formula that you used?
P0 e to the power Rn.
P0 e to the power Rn.
Or at
Okay.
164.87 we got.
P not into e raised to the power Rn. Okay. Just give me a moment.
E raised to the power Rn.
Okay. Hmm. Yes, the answer is similar only. I will discuss it with the faculty. And okay, so maybe if you are getting that 164, na, I think,
164.87
huh,
we give. Yeah.
so I
Exactly 162.87 is given. We got 164.87. I think it's typed wrongly.
maybe. So I will still discuss it with the faculty. So this is week one, question number six, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Week one, question number six.
E4.5. Okay. Okay.
Week one, question six. Okay. I will discuss it and get back to you in the next live session with the what he says. Fine.
So I joined little late. Can you just show me the slides of the first three questions? I'll just go through the slides alone.
Sorry, come again. What do you need?
I joined little late. First
Okay,
three
okay.
questions alone. Can you
Okay,
show
okay.
me the
Yeah, yeah, I will quickly go through all the questions again. So I will just first see there is a text here, not characteristics of buildings. So Dhriti
Sir,
Roy,
from
yeah, yes, Dhriti.
from these options, sir, which options will be most relevant for these questions?
Not characteristics of green building. It appears to be like installation of high flow plumbing fixtures. So these is should not be a characteristics of a green building, high flow plumbing fixtures, because it seems like that can cause more consumption of water. So the water footprint will increase. Other than that, option A is encompasses the landscaping with native plants that looks great, create healthy indoor environment that is also sounds great. Can be reconstructed from existing buildings that will also aid in sustainability issues. But this option D, it is most likely to cause more water footprint, more water consumption, also more sewage generation. So option D might be the correct answer. So,
Okay, sir.
yeah. So I will go through all the questions again quickly so that you can just have a look again. So the first question was, which of the following greenhouse gases had the highest global warming potential? So among them, this SF6 is one. During this particular question, I also discussed how you can calculate the global warming potential. So basically, global warming potential or carbon footprint, it is denoted in the units of carbon dioxide equivalent. We try to estimate whatever be the total greenhouse gas emissions and its potential as equivalent to what it would be if all of those were carbon dioxide. So based on that, we see that assuming 1 kg of methane is equivalent to 25 kgs of carbon dioxide in terms of the potential global warming. In other words, the global warming that will be caused from 1 kg of methane emission, it is equal to the global warming caused by 25 kgs of carbon dioxide emissions. Similarly, 1 kg of N2O is equal to 278 kgs of CO2. Based on that, we created a hypothetical question where from any source, let's say 20 kg of methane was emitted, 5 kg of carbon dioxide, and 1 kg of N2. So based on that, what will be the carbon footprint or global warming potential? So now what we did is that simply multiply this 20 kgs into 25 as it is use 5 kgs of carbon dioxide, and since 1 kg of N2 is equivalent to 278 kg of CO2, so put that, add all of these values and get 783 as the answer. So this was the question number 1. And again, this is the solution. You can see that CO2 is 1 for global warming potential in 100 years. Methane is around 23. And SF6, it is very, very high at around 22,200. So tremendously high. Now in the question 2, it was on sustainable development goals set by United Nations in 2015. So how many goals were there? So basically there were 17 goals. And among these issues on poverty, water quality, gender equality, like so they have catered to different sections of human development, also ecosystem well-being, human and ecosystem well-being. Among these, there were this, if you take a look at it, those pertaining to environmental issues, it can be option this goal number 6 on clean water and sanitation. So that can cater to your wastewater treatment, water treatment systems. Option this SDG 7, Sustainable Development Goal 7 is on affordable and clean energy. So make the energy cheaper. Also, it should be cleaner. That is why when we are talking about shifting towards renewable sources of energy, that is what helping in SDG 7. After that, you look at SDG 11, it talks about sustainable cities and communities. Someone just now asked a question on in the chat box. Dhriti Roy shows she asked a question regarding this green buildings. So these green buildings they cater to SDG 11. Then coming to SDG 12 on responsible consumption and production. In here, when we are talking about, we thought about that hierarchy, right? Rethink, reduce, then reuse, all of those stuff, those R's. So they help us in this responsible consumption and production, redesign a product in such a way so that at some later stage it will be easier to recover the valuables from it, or if you have to decompose it or handle it in any other manner, it would be easier in some way. So those all things are coming under SDG 12. SDG 13 is particularly on climate action, on global warming and all those factors. And SDG 14 is life below water, 15 is life on land. So these are more or less again related to environmental science, environmental problems. So we discussed these. After that, in question number 3, we had to choose an option which a renewable energy source which is currently more cost competitive with fossil fuels. So from that perspective, hydropower is the answer. Then in next question, you have been asked to determine what is the maximum permissible nighttime noise levels in residential areas, and that too as per Indian standards. So the correct answer is 45 decibel. You can't make noise more than 45 decibel at night times. After that, a question on air quality index. If you have an air quality index value of more than 500, what will you call it? Will it be moderate, unhealthy, very unhealthy, or hazardous? So an EQI or air quality index of more than 500 is termed as hazardous, although it is not shown in this one, but increasing 500, it will be hazardous category. And then next question, excess growth of algae in a water body, does it indicate? Clearly, more algae means it is the water is having more nutrients, that is why the algae is thriving. So that is indicative of nutrient overloading. After that, what is the topmost priority of an integrated waste management system? The topmost priority is source reduction, reduce the amount of waste generated right at the source. If you have lesser waste, you are going to invest lesser money in handling or treating those waste. This is the same thing. You can see in this hierarchy, the most favored one is reduction. After that, what won't be a cause of soil pollution among these? So hydropower generation was the answer. Then this is more of a memorizing kind of question. So the National Green Tribunal in India is a statutory body responsible for expeditious or adjudicating the disputes. Basically, what it tries to do is that it fastens the dispute solving procedure regarding the environmental protection and conservation of natural resources in that domain in India. So it fastens that entire process of dispute resolving. So this was established in the year 2010. Then this question was on our strategies, recycle, reduce, reuse, all those terms. So which is having the topmost priority? So the correct answer is rethink, because you have to think right at the time of designing your product how you will be handling it when it will become a waste, how you can gain most value out of it. Then which are the following the criteria pollutants? So carbon monoxide and ground level ozone were the answers. Then geothermal energy can be used in which are the following cases, except for running trucks and buses. In all the rest of the cases, you can use geothermal energy. In the next question, if you see a warmer average global temperature, it is rising, then what will it later on cause? So it can cause all of the options again, except for option A, that is fall in sea levels. Rather, it will increase the sea level. So that is why, except for option A, all the other options are the correct answers. Then physical characteristics, which are more frequently monitored for water quality. It includes turbidity and conductivity. After that, point sources of pollution, it was factory smokestack and automobile exhaust. So these were the questions that we had discussed today. What happened? So there is a chat. I can see that what happened when life cycle of solar panels and lithium-ion batteries completed, how they decompose, are they recycled? Okay. So basically, regarding these solar panels and lithium-ion batteries, they are not biodegradable. So it is decomposition or that biodegradation, that option is not available for us. Mostly what happens is that people are, as of now, solar panels, governments are not paying enough attention on their end of life management. So as of now, they are just being dumped. But we in various institutes, research institutes across the globe, they are putting more and more emphasis on different ways to recycle the important components from your solar panels. So I have been closely associated with one of such works on solar panels, where what we are basically trying to do is that in solar panels, I'm not from this core area, but since I'm determining the environmental footprint of that entire process, what I saw is that the certain people, they are trying to extract or recover the monocrystalline and polycrystalline, these two types of solar panels they are having, and they are trying to recover the silica wafers from there. And the processes include acid leaching. So what you can see is that basically we know from our childhood days, if you take a metal and you put it in an acid, it will dissolve in an acid. So what happens is that a solar panel is having the various metals. So the principal concept is that take a acid, dissolve all the metal there, and then precipitate out the metals which are possible step by step. In that process, you can recover various metals like silver, you can recover apart from metals, you can recover the silica wafers. That is also, I saw that a certain research group, they are trying to recover the silicon wafers as well. And in the meanwhile, what happens, you also generate some materials which have fertilizer kind of properties, so that can also be used somewhere. So what is currently happening is that people are trying to figure out different ways through which solar panels can be managed after their end of life, how the important materials from there it can be recovered. Same goes with the lithium ion batteries as well. Their recycling and all those issues. And after that, they will be again brought into the market through some means. I hope I was able to answer your question in at least some manner.
But sir, my question is that कि अभी जैसे बहुत सारे इलेक्ट्रिकल व्हीकल्स यूज हो रहे हैं, स्पेशली
जी
यूके में, यूरोपियन कंट्रीज में। तो
जी
वहाँ पर लिथियम बैटरीज जो हैं अब वो डिकम्पोज होने लगी हैं, और वो रिसाइकल भी नहीं होती। रिसाइकल हो रही है तो अगेन कार्बन एमिशन निकल रहा है। तो एक
हम्म।
बहुत रेंज में वो जब वो निकल रही हैं, तो आगे आगे सपोज हम न्यूक्लियर पावर यूज करते हैं या लिथियम यूज करते हैं या कोई और मिनरल यूज करते हैं, अगेन हमें डिकम्पोज करने में उसमें प्रॉब्लम आएगी। फिर हमारे लिए वही हो जाएगा कि आज कार्बन एमिशन कम हुआ तो कल को उसका एमिशन ज्यादा हो जाएगा। तो उसके
हाँ
क्या।
प्लीज। ओके, सो बेसिकली आप जो कह रही हैं कि एक बार आप फिर से बोलेंगे नीलू गुप्ता जी?
सर मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि आज जैसे कार्बन एमिशन बहुत ज्यादा है, अभी हम न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी से इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बनाने की सोच रहे हैं,
जी।
लिथियम बैटरीज यूज कर रहे हैं,
हम्म
फॉसिल फ्यूल्स कम कर रहे हैं या सोलर पैनल्स यूज कर रहे हैं।
हम्म
5-6 ईयर्स बाद, और अभी भी यूरोपियन कंट्रीज में जो इलेक्ट्रिकल व्हीकल्स की बैटरी डंप हो गई है, उनको
हम्म
डिकम्पोज करने में बहुत दिक्कत आ रही है, तो वो
डेफिनेटली।
रिसाइकल होने में दिक्कत हो रही है। तो आगे आगे ये बढ़ता जाएगा, कार्बन एमिशन भले ही कम हो जाए, और
हम्म
इतने बड़े स्केल पे हम जैसे 2030 का टारगेट लेके चल रहे हैं कि हमारा टेम्परेचर जो है 1.1 डिग्री से नीचे ही रहे, ऊपर ना जाए। लेकिन इतने, मतलब हम कोशिश तो कर रहे हैं, बट क्या ये पॉसिबल है 2050 तक कि ये दोनों चीजें जो हैं कम हो जाएं, कि हमारा जो रिसाइकल मटेरियल है वो भी ना हो, और ये जो कार्बन एमिशन है ये भी कम हो जाए? तो इसका कोई और अल्टरनेटिव, कोई और एनालिसिस है इसके बारे में?
इसका एक्चुअली मैं इस चीज में एक्सपर्ट नहीं हूँ, बट जो आपने कहा है ये सेम चीज काफी लोग ऑलरेडी देख रहे हैं। बट इसमें एक ब्राइटर साइड ये है कि ऑलरेडी हम लोग यहाँ पे देख रहे हैं कि काफी सारे स्टार्टअप्स वगैरह हैं जो बैटरी रिसाइकलिंग या आपका ये सोलर पैनल रिसाइकलिंग इस चीज पे फोकस कर रहे हैं। और इसमें जो अच्छी बात ये है कि वैसे तो ये सोलर पैनल और बैटरी रिसाइकलिंग क्रूड स्केल पे होती है, सो दीज थिंग्स दे टेक प्लेस एट अ वेरी क्रूड लेवल, so that is happening in various parts of India as well. But the disadvantage there, as you rightly pointed, is those are having significantly higher footprint and not just carbon, others things that you rightly pointed.
Excuse me. Some of
Yes.
the members are attending from outside India, I think so. Please discuss in English. That
Yeah,
would be
yeah.
better
So
for all.
yeah,
Thank
that
you,
is why
Mom.
I
People
changed to English.
should interact each other in English.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
please.
So what is happening is, uh, let me get back to it. Yeah. So these things are getting recycled in India also at various parts. But the way they are doing it, it is really hazardous to environment, because what they are doing, they are dealing with very concentrated acids, and they are dumping those acids after use in a very hazardous way. So although recycling is taking place, but it is not taking place in an environmental friendly manner. So what we are seeing these days is that in our institute, IIT Kharagpur, various alumni of our institute or also various other external parties, they are coming to us with various plans that, okay, we can recycle either batteries, mostly batteries, what we are seeing, we can recycle batteries, and we have got these 2, 3, 4, 5 options. Okay, so these 4, 5 options they have got, and what they want from us is that you compare these four scenarios, what will the environmental footprint be, and then based on that you suggest us which one we should go for. And if in case both of them are equally bad, then give us recommendations which all areas we can work at to mitigate this issue. So mostly what I have seen during this exercise is what we term as life cycle assessment. So during this time, what I have seen is dealing with all that hazardous and very highly toxic and low pH acidic liquid, that acidic discharge, it is a real issue. So that needs to be either neutralized or converted into certain other fertilizer kind of materials. So that is what it is to be needed, and people are working on it. I can understand that this has not gained that much of a commercial attention or commercial scale growth as other areas, but people are working on it. And in here, someone has rightly pointed that I think Neelu Gupta has pointed that carbon footprint is not the major issue here. The major issue faced by these activities, apart from carbon footprint, you will often see that ecotoxicity, human health toxicity, these are the major issues. More than that, your terrestrial acidification, obviously, because you're dealing with acids, you're dumping it. So terrestrial acidification, then eutrophication, marine and freshwater. So all of these can be major issues instead of carbon footprint. Yeah. So anything else, Neelu Gupta?
Thank you, sir. Sir, will you please show me the calculation of exponential growth?
Yeah, I
Uh,
will confirm. The formula is simple. She just told P naught e raised to the power RT. So we are getting the same value. I will just confirm it with the professor and get back to you in the next meeting, show him the result and see whether,
Hello. Okay, thank you, sir.
yeah. So I can see that Marvin Donia has raised a hand. So do you have something to say? Like you want to add something? Marvin, are you there? Okay, so I don't know. Sorry, I saw that the,
Merbendonia, ma'am, you can ask question. Merbendonia, ma'am, not answering.
okay, so I can see that there are few people from other parts of the globe as well. So can it will be great if they can introduce themselves or someone who are working closely with them they can, because I rarely get a chance to see what they are facing at their end of side, different issues. Okay, so I can see that um, there are no more hands raised. So if there is anything else, please feel free to share it either in the chat box or you can unmute yourself.
Sir, we are emit the carbon emission at very fast rate. And till 2030 or 2050, we have no we have no major plans to reduce that. We are trying, but I think it is not quite possible. And our temperature is increasing on very fast rate also. So, is there any other sustainable goal or any other law that we induce, or we can say government have work on it so that the temperature could not be rise up as fast as it can?
Okay, so the first thing is regarding that plans. So people in India also, the government is laying too much, like a lot of emphasis on reducing the carbon footprints. For example, you must have seen that people are more aggressively promoting for solar panels, although the way they are promoting it, there might be some pros and cons to it. But the thought process is they are promoting solar panels so that the major issue is to reduce the dependence on your fossil coal. So there
Sir,
have,
next class is when, sir?
sorry, next class is on Tuesday, next Tuesday from 6 to 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So just a disclaimer, those like this is, although this is a 2 hour session, so in case if you have some other work to do and if you don't want to stay here any longer, so it is not mandatory to be online in here. So you can leave whenever you want, whenever you are comfortable. So those who have anything else to discuss, so they are always welcome to stay here. So I was just looking the major plans of environment. So okay. So yes, so Nilugupta, you asked something about the carbon emissions. So I just quickly Googled it because there are numerous plans out there. So maybe the way they are implemented, there must be something not that efficiency in there. So even though there are several plans, but the thing is, in India, we cannot, as of now, move as aggressively towards these carbon capturing and all those stuff because these things are easier for the Western nations who are already developed to say because they have already emitted their share of carbon footprints and carbon emissions into the atmosphere. And now they are expecting the developed nations who are right now at their stage to reach that developed status to reduce their growth and come to a way in such a way so that all those carbon footprint capture and all those carbon footprint reduction can be solved. So what they are basically doing is that even though what the environmental impacts that we are seeing today due to global climate change, even though the majority of it is being the major reason or the culprits behind it is are the Western developed nations. But what they are currently doing is that they are pinning the blame on the developing countries. So that is one major reason that can't be like accepted. So that is why even though India is also taking major steps to shift towards renewable sources of energy, but we can't do it at the expense of reducing our GDP. So like I'm talking about this principally, so there are various data already out there, and you must have already seen that in various forums. Even though other nations they pressurize India to agree to various protocols, but Indian government doesn't agree to them because agreeing to them means increasing the prices of various commodities. For example, if you are, let's say, cement you are using to manufacture houses and everything. So this concrete or cement industry, it is one of the largest emitters of carbon dioxide. And now what you can do is that it is very easy. Basically, if you want to capture that carbon dioxide, technically speaking, it is very easy. Put some chemicals in there, it will absorb all the carbon dioxide. But you see, whenever you are using different chemicals, also the energy is being used. So these chemicals, these energy that is being used or that will be used to capture all the carbon dioxide. So these will also incur you a hell lot of cost. So that can definitely shoot up the cement prices, I am damn sure, by more than 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Now, a country like ours, we are not in a position to afford such 2, 3, 5 or 10x price and prices. Even though we have the technology, but it is just not practically feasible to implement that because we don't just have one issue to face, we have got several other issues. That is why even though Indian government is taking several actions as of now on implementing this solar energy, I can see that there are various national water mission as well for cleaner water sources. But these things will take some time, maybe next 50, 60 years, and then we will see the results. And the major thing is that what we need to look at is one drawback that I have seen, that even though we are very rapidly and aggressively pushing for solar panels, for solar energy, what we are lacking at is we are not thinking what we will do once those solar panels reach the end of life, how we will handle that. Because at that certain time, because I think they can last for around 20 years, 15, 20, I'm not sure. But whenever that time is, so at that time, we will see a huge pile of solar panels which are having no use. And at that time, our challenge will be how to manage those panels effectively. Because if we don't do that, then those panels will again become a source of not carbon footprint, but they will be become a huge, huge cause of ecotoxicity and human toxicity, both carcinogenic and non-carcinogenic. So these are some of the areas that not only our Indian government but other nations can also look at. That when you are taking some decision, you need to look at it from a long time perspective. So that is what I can comment. But you guys also must be having several other opinions, and those are also most of them are really true.
What about carbon credit based trading system is there
Yeah,
now for
yes,
European Union?
true. That is also being encouraged, and I think people are also trying to implement it in India also. Carbon credit-based trading system, so that the cost can also be reduced if we do that. Still, like I can share one instance. A few months back, I was attending one of the talks from a gentleman from I think Tata or Jindal Tata Steel. So what they are saying is that uh, a- along with your cement, steel manufacturing also emits a huge, huge fraction of the carbon footprint. So although in different cases, like from energy sector, from electricity or power requirement sector, you can say that okay, India is dependent on coal-fired power plants. So you can reduce the dependence on coal by shifting towards solar energy, hydropower, all those stuff. But apart from that, your if you look at the entire carbon footprint of India or any other nation, you will see that the steel industry it is also contributing immensely to it. And that is mostly because in steel industry we have got blast furnaces. So in those blast furnaces, a huge amount of CO2 carbon dioxide is being emitted. And unfortunately, that pile of that huge mass of carbon dioxide, if you want to capture it, and it is easy to capture, just like I said, you can easily capture it, store it, convert it into different chemicals, but it will take a huge, huge financial toll. So that is why these big companies like these, even though they have got the way out, they can't really implement it for effective measures. So was I able to answer your question, Debopam?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, is it possible that in Switzerland they assemble CO2 capturing machine? So
Okay.
we can capturing the same machine in metro cities or mega cities of India. So they
Haha,
can capture.
people are already doing that. So not only in Switzerland, in India also, if you take a look at different research institutes, not only in India and various other countries, so people are already doing that, and that technology is called direct air capture. Some people in our lab also they are interested to work in that particular domain. So what they do is that like one gentleman came here a few weeks back. So what he did, he installed a device like that on top of his vehicle or trucks, and then the truck was moving, and whatever CO2 was coming, it was being absorbed there. But effectively speaking or practically, it is like a drop of water in a huge ocean. So I don't know whether practically it is that feasible or not, but maybe for a small locality, if you are installing something like that, it can be helpful. Like there was also another concept that was here where you have got algal towers, where what you do is that you build pillars. In that pillars, you put in algae, and that algae, it is like an algal column. It is installed at various parts of cities or localities. What it does is that one thing, it gives you a good aesthetic appearance. At the same time, it also keeps on absorbing carbon dioxide. So what I can say is that, as the case for various other uh, concepts as well, not a single option like direct air capture or these algal blooms, not algal blooms, these algal columns. A single option, they can't help you that much in tackling this carbon footprint, but you have to integrate different things. You have to bring in decision making, address things on various other management levels. So all of them have to play a role to see an actual impact on this carbon footprint reduction, let it be at a national level or just at an industrial level as well. So a single option like direct air capture that you just mentioned, it won't have that much impact because direct air capture, it is very, very costly because the materials that are being used to prepare all those things, that equipment, it is not easy to afford that for particularly for developing nations.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, welcome.
Sir, is there any master course in IIT which is online for environmental sciences?
They can be in IIT Madras, I'm not sure, but IIT Madras, I think it offers some online courses. I'm not sure whether it is environmental or not.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Sir,
Welcome.
is it helpful for a middle-aged woman to do that course? Because after a long time, I want to start my studies again and want to do that environmental science. If there is not much mathematics in it.
Okay, in environmental science, usually there is not that much mathematics as is in other technical courses, but I think you need to take a look at the syllabus, what they teaches. Because if you look at environmental science can be taught by chemical engineering, civil engineering, and also by others. But a chemical engineering department, it will put in much more mathematics, chemistry into it. So if you take a look at the course, you will have a quick idea of what they are trying to do. Usually, environmental science is not that much calculation and that intensive, the basic course at least. And if you just want to again go through all the concepts, I think it can be helpful. But still, you can always go through the syllabus and discuss it with the existing students there if you can get hold of them on LinkedIn or any other media.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Welcome.
So will you please show the calculation of exponential growth and geometrical growth?
Yeah, I will show it in the next class. I will
Okay,
also
sir.
discuss it with the professor. I have the question there, the values that you have been asked in week one, question number 6. I will discuss it with the professor and get back to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Well,
So what do you mean by perpetual? There are solar, wind, tides, and flowing water. What do you mean by perpetual
per
resources?
perpetual. Let me see. I am not really aware of that. Per yeah,
Perpetual.
perpetual resources. So, where is this term actually used? From that, I can get some idea. So, I can
So
see
this
that
is,
perpetual resources are natural resources that are continuously available and replenish themselves indefinitely, so their quantity doesn't change. Okay. So this is what I Googled it.
So what is the difference between perpetual and renewable? Because here renewable resources contain
Okay.
air, water, soil,
So
and
the
perpetual resource contains soil, wind, tides, flowing water.
Okay. So you will, I think you will come across this in some of the slides as well. When you are talking about the renewable resources, so the basic thing is one is your, let it be any resource, one is your rate of consumption, one is your rate of generation, regeneration. So whenever your rate of consumption is less than the rate of regeneration, you can term that as a renewable resource because it is readily available. But as soon as the rate of consumption is becoming more than the rate of regeneration, so then you will see that it is like even though it is regenerated, but it is not practically renewable. I will still just confirm.
Okay, sir. Sir, what do you mean by planetary boundary?
From where did you get this word planetary boundary?
I think it is in week 2 classes.
Okay.
So
Can you give me that sentence or something? Like what is the
yeah,
sentence was?
planetary boundary define the safe. Well, planetary boundary define the safe operating space for humanity with respect to Earth system if emission not controlled,
Okay.
biodiversity loss, climate change exceed.
Okay. So planetary boundary in that perspective, it says like, for example, let's talk about water quality parameters. In water quality parameters, we will come across like if you are drinking some water, the amount of some certain material, let's say chloride or fluoride or calcium in it, it should stay between value X and value Y. So those value X and value Y are the planetary boundary conditions. If the water you are drinking, if those concentration is between them, then it is safer to drink. If it goes out of it, that means it is not that safe to drink that water. Same with air pollution also. If you see that some certain acceptable ranges there for any air pollutant, sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, whatever, like if it is between value of X and value of Y, then it is fine. You can stay there nicely. But if it even drops below something and exceeds more than that, then it is difficult to be there or it is harmful. So those are the boundary conditions.
Basically,
Then
it is the ranges.
Range is true.
we can say it is contamination and pollution. It is the basic thing.
But the planetary conditions that the sentence you just told, I think it means to say that if the value goes out of this range, then there will be some issue.
Okay.
But if contaminant, if it is there and as of now documented way, if it is not causing any environmental harm, so then there is no way to set a perpetual that boundary. Because, for example, in terms of water quality, people have already been monitoring your chloride, fluoride, calcium, sodium, various other ions and metals in water. But these emerging contaminants that we discussed, like antibiotics, your dyes, and various kinds of pesticides, so we are yet to put those boundary conditions or have some certain ranges for these kind of many of these kind of emerging contaminants. So that is what people are actively working now.
Okay, sir. Thank you. The
Welcome.
one thing more, please mention some journals in which we send our reviews or some essays so that we can know more about our learnings, where we stand, and we have to express our analysis as well as our ideas.
So you
So
want
if
to know about good journals where you can publish your ideas and all.
yes,
Okay.
please mention in your course, in coming courses, please mention that also.
Okay, I will show you right now. I have a list. You can take a screenshot if you want. I will just see
Yes.
where I have it. Give me a moment.
So the exam is on 3rd November. So it is in in morning shift or is in evening shift?
Sorry, I won't be able to help you in that front. It is better to contact NPTEL. They are the right person to guide you.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So I will share my screen. Okay, I hope it is visible. So you can take a screenshot. These are the journal names, different publishing
Sir,
houses, different
sir,
journals.
please zoom it. Okay.
So I will scroll my screen now.
सर थोड़ा सा और zoom कर दीजिए.
Is it fine now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so does anyone have any other points or anything else to add? Let me see if we have some comments. Will you please share your presentations and content notes, sir? So that will be helpful for assignments. Okay, so basically we have uh, I think Google Drive or something like that where we have to add our these presentations. So you can request, like I can't share it with you directly, but we have it there. So you can request NPTEL to share with everyone the access of that particular folder if it is allowed, so that you can later on. Or otherwise, these videos, na, these are all anyways going to be uploaded in on YouTube. So if you have some time, you can anyways go through these recordings and revise the questions. That can also be helpful. So I can say that someone is raising their hand. Yes, Rumpa Vishwas.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, is there any course to enhance our practical knowledge on environmental science,
Practical knowledge
like
on
short-term
environmental.
courses?
Short-term courses in IIT Kharagpur, I will share a link with you in the chat box. I'm not really sure whether they have any course running now, but you can always like look at it to see if at any certain point they have some courses like that, because I have seen them regularly bring out certain types of courses regarding either water pollution or some other energy related areas where they more
Yes, sir.
focus on the experimental parts. I will just share you the link.
Previously, I done one course on air pollution. Uh, there is some more practicals on that,
True.
like this kind
So
of,
then you must have already.
or anything related to environmental science.
I will share. Just give me a minute. I will find that link and share it with you. It will be useful. যা এই সিইপি কোর্সেস গুলো কোথায় থাকে, এটা কোথা থেকে পাবো এই লিংকটা?
Sorry, sir, I
সিইপি,
disconnect.
সিইপি লিখে দেবো। আইটি কেজিপি। So other IITs will also be having similar sites. This is for IIT Kharagpur, I know that. So you can always have a look at that. They are having different kinds of workshops, conferences, other certificate and sponsored courses as well. You can keep on checking this website. That will be helpful.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Well, okay, anything else? If not, then we can conclude the session for today. If you have anything else to add, please.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. So I will wait for another 2-3 minutes. So if you have anything, you can always use the chat box. Otherwise, thank you all for being here in this live session, supporting me with all your thoughts and points. It was really interactive and great learning experience for me as well. I hope that we can see each other in the next live session as well, 6 to 8 p.m. IST. Thank you for your presence.
No, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for
Thank you
your
very
time.
much. It's a nice
Thank you.
interaction. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So what is primary pollutant and secondary pollutant?
Primary pollutants are the pollutants. For example, carbon dioxide is a primary pollutant because naturally carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide, these are staying in a form that is pollutant naturally present. Secondary air pollutants are those, for example, there are two pollutants which interact with each other or two compounds which interact with each other and form something that becomes a nuisance. So that will become a secondary pollutant. For example, smog. Smog, you have got fog and then you have got smoke, both of them combined, it becomes smog, it is a secondary air pollutant. Similarly, NOx as well, various NOx emissions.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. I can see that Karima has also raised her hand. Do you have something to add? You want to add something? Okay. Maybe by mistake. Okay, everyone. Thank you for your time. We will see each other on next Tuesday. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Bye.